Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
So what have you been up to since we last talked? I hit the record button, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind, dude. I was hoping you would, because a lot of times our conversations get so good before we get started. That's always great. Working. I think thinking about moving. My partner just got an amazing opportunity in Cambridge. She took a position as an assistant professor in Cambridge in the UK. And so, like, are we moving to the UK? Maybe, I'll still, of course, have an office here.
Sure, yeah.
A place here and all that kind of stuff, because we have to have a home base here. My son's here. Her parents are here. My mom is here. And so that's happening. I had to get another car, which is something interesting, is I ended up buying it with my business.
Ooh, there you go.
So it's a business purchase, which is our first one of that size.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of that was a learning experience.
Yep. Take advantage of that.
Take advantage of it. Absolutely.
You got to.
So that's new. Really, when it comes personally, it's been mostly getting adjusted to the Shakis to be skin again, and finding a way. Right now I'm in this space where I feel like the doctor that plays in the blues band. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure that out.
Just Friday and Saturday nights, guys.
And then you go to the bar and be like, "Is that Dr. Davis on guitar?"
Yeah, right.
And so I'm figuring that out. This new news with Benda, that's really present. This purchase. And then I've just been thinking a lot about, as far as business, has been more about growth, expansion, thinking about cash flow and consistency and equity and all of the different. You'll understand this, Colombia. I can't even really put it on Colombia, but I'm in Colombia, so I'll focus it on Colombia. It just doesn't have a lot of meaningful products or initiatives for small business owners that are not in retail, manufacturing, or construction or real estate. Right.
So it supports the visible businesses very well.
It supports the visible businesses very well. Yeah. But if you are in the tech space or the creative space or the marketing space or
they just don't
any
understand.
of those worlds, it's difficult. And so we recently TD Bank and the Columbia Chamber picked 5 small minority-owned businesses to be small business champions for 12 months to have a membership with the Columbia Chamber through TD Bank, a partnership they're doing with TD Bank. So TD Bank is pretty much footing the bill for all of us for a year, and that's partially the reason why that's been on my mind. Is I feel like I want to use that platform and that time to spread the good gospel about, hey, I represent a whole army of people, you know what I mean? That would never, had it not been for that, I'd have never been a member of the chamber. Why? My expenses have priorities. It is totally not a priority.
Not the Chamber of Commerce.
Not
that's
even
low on the totem pole.
Way low.
Yeah.
I mean, that's below, I don't know, like a fancy coffee machine I saw somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. And we kind of talked about this last time, where I was like, yo, I want to make the things I do count, not just for me, but for the things I represent. And so I've been thinking a lot in that chamber, I want to make noise around, we need more support for businesses that don't fall into the things South Carolina loves, that are actually the emerging businesses globally around the state, that South Carolina could take part in, that the city of Columbia could take part in. Let's be on the cutting edge of things instead of relying on those standard kind of columns when it comes to business in the state, but also we spend a lot of time relying on big fish, to come. Like, let's catch a big fish. Let's catch a big fish, as opposed to saying when 98% of the businesses that make South Carolina and Columbia move are small businesses.
Yeah.
So it's like
they are, and they're not the small, like the below 500 employee. I mean, they're like owner operator businesses. That makes up so many.
Literally, it's about 98, somewhere around 98, 99%. But there are no tools or initiatives to be able to provide any support. And I mean resources, finances, funding. I mean things that can actually help these entities that really drive the economy of the state and the city grow, particularly when it comes to emerging markets like the ones that both of us are in. And
it's federally too.
It's federally too.
Federally is the same way.
That's been on my mind a lot, as well as that and equity. That was my blog that I just did yesterday. So that's been top of mind. That's one of the reasons why I chose to say yes to that opportunity, was because of equity. Like, businesses like mine, particularly ones that are minority owned, can't take advantage of those type of opportunities because we don't have the resources, and I specifically mean cash flow, for it to be a priority. And so in order to make it equitable, not equal, there are things that you need to make the playing field fair. And I think that equity is lacking in a lot of the vision of the entities that are creating products and initiatives for small business owners. I don't think it's inside the vision. I think just me personally, that they could use someone or some entities or more conversations around how do we make this more equitable, instead of saying, well, this is what the grant says, or this is what the federal government says, or this is what it says, so let's just do this, And
I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of box checking going on.
A lot of box checking, man. So I know you know,
that's
I know you know.
That's how that goes, man.
Yeah,
they're just trying to fill out the to-do list.
Yeah. And it's just, so you asked me what was on my mind. That's been top of mind for me. How about you?
You just laid a bunch on me. Nah, man, I'm we're getting ready to explore the great outdoors of Alaska. It's a family trip. We're going for a couple of weeks. Dude, it's gonna be trippy. So it's pretty much top of mind.
Where are you gonna be?
Going to Anchorage, Alaska.
Anchorage.
And we're gonna do some exploring. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love to hike.
And you know what's funny? So I tell people that, and the first thing they say is like, "What cruise you taking?"
What?
I'm like, "Cruise? We're going in the woods, bro."
Yeah, man.
It's Alaska.
Hell yeah. That's disrespectful to go to Alaska and take a cruise.
No cruise?
What? It's Alaska.
Not knocking cruise people.
Yes, not at all. I know some great ones,
but I ain't going on a cruise.
Nah, man. So are you?
So that's top of mind.
Are you? How's your kids feel about?
Oh, they're excited.
Oh yeah, man.
They're ready for it. Yeah, we've always
that's awesome.
Prioritized experiences over possessions, I think.
Once again, me and Gene feel like we're ripped apart from birth.
I would much rather go and have an adventure, with my kids and my wife than buy a 80-inch television.
Yep.
80-inch TV is nice, but I'd rather go somewhere and experience something. Go to a new country or.
Yep.
And for the past few years, we've been just exploring the United States, because there's so much here, man.
Yeah.
Like from Maine. Maine is beautiful all the way to like the desert, like in Utah. It's just amazing.
Man. Yeah.
And if you've never traveled from like 2 years ago, we drove from Colorado into Utah.
Jeez.
And if you've never done something like that,
I haven't.
It's like a video game. You know how video games have those different like biomes where you go from like jungle to like mountains, and it like you're in a video game so you can totally see it.
Yeah.
It's like that. It was like beautiful. We're just driving, we're like, it's a desert now. What happened? Like we literally drove from green to like, tan.
Dude.
So cool.
That's living.
It's very cool. Yeah, I think
that's living. I live for that. That's what me and B do.
Yeah, well you've been to Africa
several times.
Several times.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's on my list.
Yeah, man, you got to do it. I mean, I just think that again, I think life is about experiencing it. One of my favorite quotes. I was talking about that little altar I got. It's from my Aunt Marie, who's the eldest on my mom's side of the family.
Okay.
And one day we were talking on the phone. She was like, Sherrod, you know, the only way to know life is to live life.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was like, word, auntie, word to your mother.
Yeah.
What? And it's like, that to me is living life. Like, you know, when every time B comes back, that's one of the things we do. Like, we'll just go to the mountains.
That's cool.
You know, and she'll be like, when she comes, or when she's planning to come, she'll be like, hey, I saw this cool like boat.
Oh, nice.
Like on like a cabin. We could like hike for like 4 days. I was like, yes. Like, we're all about that, like experiences. And I love the fact that my son likes doing that too, and experiencing new things, new food, new culture.
I think
new ways.
Me and my personal values, I think it's important to teach your children that, because they learn and they model their lives after you. So if you are, you know, spending time with family, like my two sons, they love going on trips with us, right? I mean, I'm a parent, so maybe they're lying to me. I don't know, but I can see it in their face. They seem like they really like, you know, going on trips with us and adventures and things. But I know I have other friends whose kids are of the same age, and they're just like, the last thing they want to do is spend time with their parents, you know. And I was like that growing up. I was like, the last thing I want to do is like go do my own stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I think back, my parents, we didn't travel, you know, we didn't vacation. Like, I'm not talking like we're gonna be on the beach for 3 days. I'm saying just go do something.
Just go do something. Yeah. My mom worked all the time, so that was just not a thing. And we were poor.
But we're Gen X too. Like, it's just, we didn't go on vacation with our parents.
Our parents vacation was like a thing that we watched people do on TV.
Rich people do vacations. You don't.
We go to work or we go to the beach.
You have a TV. Be thankful.
Or Lake Murray. That was our vacation.
Yeah. We did that. Go to the river.
And my son's the same way. Like he's because me and B, we're super active, and that's one of the other reasons why he likes going.
They learn that too.
Is because we're super active. So like, to the fact that he'll be tired, you know, because he'll be like, dude, Dad, can we take it like a bike on the trail? We'll be like, what? We're all taking our bikes.
We're going.
You know what I mean? Let's go on the trail, or we're, you know, or you know, let's go get some hiking shoes and do the, you know, and that to him. So like, he's running and jumping across creeks. I'm running and jumping across creeks. So it's just like,
what you got to do.
So for him, it's just like, you know, he loves it when we're like, we're gonna go. He's like, go. When we going?
But that stuff's like, that's a generational gift that you can give. You know what I mean? Like,
man, Gene, you dropping nothing but jewels today. I don't need to be here.
I think that's sort of
it's a generational gift.
I think that's a lot of society's problems. If you look at, you know, you show me a kid that's not in shape or overweight, and then like, let me see their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, they learned that from somewhere. And then let me see, you know, and it's just a whole line. And I see it because I'm in the gym business, you know, and I see these people, but
and it's not a diss. It's not it's just you know, one of the things
you can fix it right now.
We talked about this before. To me, there's no such thing as I've gotten to the point in life where I don't separate good and bad. It's all information.
Oh yeah. I feel you.
So when someone, I think that oftentimes someone hearing someone say something like, it's, you know, your parents can make people feel some type of way, but it's just 1 + 1 is 2. And I think if you're dealing with, we talked about this, remember, like dealing with the reality of what's really happening. And like for me, or you, but for me, I'm a product of my mom and dad. So whatever they
110%.
I'm a product of them.
Yep.
So whatever they put into me is what is going to be the basis of what I am. And of course, I'm gonna have more experiences as I grow, more interactions.
Yeah,
well, books, and then
you gotta bring your own to it.
Yeah, you bring your own to it. But the base of what you are is just an amalgamation of them. And so they are your greatest teachers. They are your first teachers. And if you're creating the type of patterns and habits that because they're going to absorb.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the main sponges to everything you do, say, look, walk, talk. And that's something I've taken seriously since the minute my son was born. The second he was born,
You got to pay attention to
I got to make sure that when he's around me, he's not just absorbing what I'm saying, he's absorbing what I'm doing, because I know he's watching.
Well, they watch more than they listen.
They watch more than they listen.
As a father of a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, they definitely don't listen, but they do watch.
They do watch.
I
mean, and it's everything from, my son has OTR stickers like on his skateboards, his bike for no reason. I didn't ask him to do this, or
he's proud of it.
I remember when the first time I saw him I have a giant lion tattoo across my chest, and I remember one day he was taking a shower and I saw the sticker on his chest, like just things like that you're not even realizing that they're picking up, or the way that I sit, or the way that I talk with someone,
100%,
or and they're saying, they're looking to you to figure out a method. Jay-Z has this line in one of his songs where he calls them tools. We never had the tools. Like, they're looking at you to figure out, oh, that's how, a tool. That's how I do this thing. That's how I do this thing. So, being conscious of that, I think it creates better humans, Gene.
It can. It should.
I think it should.
And, we're talking about the positive. Yeah. I'm assuming you had positive relationships with your parents. I did too. I mean, we're Gen Xers.
You're Gen Xers, so asterisk.
It comes, yeah. Yeah, Gen X.
Asterisk.
The relationship with our parents were neither good nor bad.
Yes, yes. Well,
but there's something. There's something to that. I think about that with my sons. My oldest, we both he has such a strong love of the martial arts, and so do I. My youngest does too. And we bond over that. We spend a lot of time. It's very, very beautiful. Where was I going with that? And that's a positive thing. You know what I mean? But I also think about like my father, and there are things that he did that I didn't like.
Yes.
So definitely. So it became a wedge between us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it can go either way.
Yo.
And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean I disliked him for the things he liked. It was just that I look at that I have with my son, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this, versus that with my dad where
it wasn't there.
I can't. There's no, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. I mean, we connected over different things, but
yeah, sure. I was wondering if you're when you said that, the way you said that, I was wondering if I forgot it. But you said something about your dad, and the way you said it about your dad, you didn't have that, and you have that with your sons. Yeah. Something in my mind was going, I wonder if there are moments where you're kind of like, all right, this thing was a wedge between me and my dad, so I'm gonna make sure it's not a wedge with me and my kids.
Partly.
Or is it kind of like I went through something like this where I didn't realize. So I didn't know my dad growing up. I didn't meet him until I was maybe 32.
Wow, what a trippy experience.
Yo, it's a whole movie. I can't even get into it. That's a whole episode.
Wow.
Me meeting my dad was literally a movie. And my dad, I tell people this all the time with I don't feel any type of way about saying it, because I think going back to reality, like my dad is a supervillain. He's Thanos. Like he really is.
Man.
And which is not, doesn't mean I don't love him.
Right.
Don't mean I don't respect. Respect is fluid. But I have to be aware, right? Just like we talk about media literacy, like you have to be aware. You can't be blind to what is actually there. And but the magic of meeting him was when we started talking on the phone, and I started hearing how manipulative he was. Like the style that he used was the same style I used.
Ooh, shit, that's deep.
And I was like, oh shit, this is where I get it from. I get it. I get this from you. Like I'm hearing him, the way he was trying to finesse something he was talking about. Wow. I remember the moment I was sitting in the car. I was over there somewhere near Wet Village. We were talking on the phone, and I remember him doing it. And I was listening. I was like, it sounded like me. Like literally how he was using the phrasing and what he was saying and how he's breaking it down. And I remember stopping him. I was like, yo, you can't do this to me. I was like,
I'm the king of this.
If anybody knows how to do this, is me. Like, all right, you got to run that game on somebody else because you're using the game I use, and now I'm seeing. But in that moment, what I learned in that moment was I need to know you.
Yeah.
And because I just learned something about myself just in this one brief moment. We had a bunch of conversations, but in that one brief one, it taught me something about me that I also see in my son. My son loves to exaggerate, loves to manipulate because you find this in people that are highly intelligent, because highly intelligent people figure out equations and they go, oh, this is okay, if I do it like this, then I can, all right.
Yeah. If I turn this knob, I get this.
Right?
Yeah.
So he does it too. And I'm able, because I understand where he gets it from, and I understand that he gets it from me because I got it from my dad, which means he might have got it from somebody else in our family. I'm able to go, hold up, let's sit down. Let's talk about what you just said. Why do you say that this way? And what are you trying to do? What are you trying to get him to do, or your friend to do, or your mom to do? And why is that? And let me tell you why that's not good. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I meant too. Like, are there moments where you're like, you see that in your children and you're like, all right, that there's good parts of that you want to impart, but there's also bad parts that I want to tweak.
100%.
You know what I mean? I was just wondering.
No, you're right. That's fascinating, man. That's gotta be trippy, to like meet him at you were over 30.
I was 33, somewhere around 30.
And you're a full grown tax paying
2011. Full grown
tax paying man. Yeah. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a wow. I'll tell you. Okay. So briefly, I'll tell you, you can probably cut this.
Is he still with us?
Yeah. He's still alive. I always tell my son's never met him in person, but I always tell my son that whenever you want to go meet, it's a plane ride away, we can go, because he is his only living grandfather. That's the only one he has, is my dad. And but my dad is a super villain. So the first conversation we had, and I'll tell you the story of how we ended up meeting another time. But the first conversation we had, I was working at Genesis at the time. It was 2011. And briefly, he got my contact information from a sister who I found through Facebook. And very first conversation, I'm sitting at my desk. It's the middle of the day. It might be like 11:30, somewhere around lunchtime. I think I was getting ready to go to lunch. And my phone rings. I don't recognize the number. I say hello. And the voice on the other side of the phone goes, all right, listen here, you motherfucker. Now this is how this shit gonna go. Like, don't ask me no question about your motherfucking mama. Don't ask me no question about this. And I'm sitting there going,
who this?
The what? So I literally, there's a door at Genesis where my office was right next to Cliff's office. And then in between those, there's a little seated area. There's an outside door right there. So I'm sprinting over to the little outside door. I go outside and I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this calling my phone?
What the hell?
This your daddy, niggas. And I was like, whoa, like, yo, all right. First, that was my first conversation with my dad. So there's a little, but
that a little bit.
That he, as much as I respect him for, I wouldn't be here because of him. And I don't take that lightly anymore. Sure. I used to when I was a kid, right? Because you're mad. You're upset when you're a kid.
Yeah. But I didn't ask to be grown, here. Yeah.
And I've seen all the difficulties that come with life. I go, right. I got it.
We're all one bad mistake away from
one bad mistake. And I know that him and my uncles and his brothers and sisters, my grandmother, their mother, left them when they were really young. And that's just a pain that he's been with ever since.
Right.
And so he's just the kind of person, and this is why I say Thanos, is because his protective shield is to manipulate everybody around him with the words and his mind.
Right.
Really intelligent guy, but he's trying to protect himself.
Yeah.
So his mode of operation is, I'm gonna hit. I'll just take that one example with me.
Yeah.
I have to control, even though I've never met you. Here's the position I want to put you in, so I can control how this relationship goes from the very start. I'm gonna put you in a position where you have to be right here. Now I'm in charge of how this goes.
Yeah.
And it was at that age, thankfully, I was old enough and had been through enough to be able to say, that's okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's very cool.
Cool, man. All right, let's start from here.
Yeah.
All good. Because that's really all I want anyway. I mean, you can't really help me do all the other things. I just want to get to know you.
I've already done it all that way.
I've already done it all, man. So let's just get to know each other. And so
that's got to be a good position to be in, though, to like not need anything.
Well,
I mean, maybe emotionally, but like,
yes,
you know,
yeah,
you don't, it's not like you were 12.
Right. It's not like I was 12.
You're like, can you take me to school?
Right. Or like, can you teach me how to tie?
Yeah, bullshit like that.
How to talk to girls or how to have relationships with boys. You know what I mean? That's just as important.
Yeah.
Which at the same time, I was mature enough at that age to be able to accept the reality of what was happening without really feeling any type of way. I think if that had happened when I was in my 20s or younger, it probably
just got in a fight.
It would have been a fight, But at my age, once I was able to see what was going on, I was like, "Oh, you want me to jump into the? I'm not going to jump into that bucket. But I tell you what, I will do. I'll accept it. If that's where you want to be, fine, cool.
Yeah,
I'm down. So, how you feeling today? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you have any empathy, you could say, I mean, he's nervous. He's reaching out.
Exactly.
He's just trying to project something,
right?
Because it's his shortcoming of somewhere.
Yep.
So he can't hurt me.
So
let's go.
Right. And it's like, there's this.
But at first, though, you got that.
You get those tingling. Like, yeah.
Ooh, what the hell's happening?
But then there's this. I don't know if you read 50 Cent's last book. It's a really good book. I can't remember what it's called. But he has this line in the book where he's talking about how one of the things that he was able to realize was his ability to understand how to deal with reality came from when he used to box when he was a kid. He was 13.
Yeah.
13, 14 years old. He was big for his size. So the boxing coaches at the local gym would make him fight older kids, right?
I think I read that somewhere.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And
not in his book, somewhere else, but
and at first he was afraid, which kind of made him hold back a bit. And then he would get knocked out by a kid or knocked down by a kid. And then he would get up and the coach would say, "Are you okay?" He'd go, "Yeah." Can you understand what I'm saying? He would go, "Yeah." "How you feeling?" "A little groggy." He was like, "But you're not knocked out, are you?"
Right.
He'd be like, "Nope."
Yep.
"You're okay?" "Yep." There you go.
You're still breathing.
He was like, in that moment, he was like, "Oh, even though they're bigger than me, faster than me, stronger than me, and they did hit me, I did get hit and I felt it, but I'm actually okay."
That's legit.
You know what I mean? And that goes back to kind of what you were just saying. It's like, yeah, he came at me kind of wild. I got hit. I felt a little emotion about it, but let me step back. Yeah. I looked at my hands. I looked at my feet. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm not really in any real danger.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. You know what I mean?
It's hard to detach like that. You know what I mean? Like I have a mentor of mine that talks about that. They talk about detachment. And a lot of people think detachment is like a negative term, and it can be.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a tool, right? To be able to remove yourself from that situation and look at it like if I came to you and told you that, you'd give me advice. You'd say, "Don't fall into that trap. I mean, he's just doing this and that." You know? But to be able to do that yourself, sort of remove yourself from the situation, detach, remove emotion, and look at it and go, "Okay, well, here's what we're dealing with."
Yeah.
I do get to meet my dad.
Yeah.
That's something, so let's go from there.
Yeah.
That's power.
That's the
power.
That's the power. That reminds
me. Not
me
what
of
he's doing.
Yeah.
He's powerless.
Powerless.
Yeah.
That reminds me of what we were talking about in our last conversation about entrepreneurs. just being able to look at, you were talking about the gym, people come to the gym and go, no, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just look at the reality of what's happening here.
Yep.
Just take away the feelings for a
Yeah.
moment. Are you okay? Yes.
Yep.
Do your muscles hurt a little bit? Sure.
Yeah.
But you're fine.
You're not dead.
You're not dead.
You're not in
breathing.
the hospital.
You're not in the hospital. Everything. It's all in your mind.
It is.
And that's probably the most singular reason I'm such a fan of Goggins, is because that's his whole thing, is being able to be in charge of your mind.
Did you read his book?
Is the battlefield. I've read.
He's got like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. So the first,
I read the first
You
one.
Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah,
the
I read
one
the
that I
first
read.
one.
Yeah.
I didn't read it. I listened to it.
Yeah, me too. I listened to it. I listened to it. Yeah. I'm a big audiobook.
Me too.
Person. Yeah.
Especially when they read it themselves. He didn't read it.
Yeah, he did.
Did he?
The one that
okay.
No, the one that I read, he read.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a version where he didn't read it, but like in between the chapters was like a podcast he did with somebody.
Yes.
Which was really cool.
That was really cool. Yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah. But the version I read, it was him.
Yeah, I remember hearing his voice now that you mentioned it. But yeah, it's really he's got a crazy story.
Crazy story. But the thing that you just brought up is what he talks about all the time, and it's the battle of the mind.
Yeah.
Because which I think is how you get to understanding and being okay with detachment.
Yeah.
Is when you're able to say, okay, my mind is telling me I'm in danger, but am I in danger? You know what I mean? Let me look around. Let me assess the situation.
Well, you're fighting.
I'm actually fine, but because we're humans with cellular structures.
That's right, man.
Ways of operating that we can't really control. It's just how
fighting like thousands of years of programming, man.
Yeah,
like
thousands of years of programming.
Yeah, there's something to that though. I mean, you know, like that intuition. I mean, like. Where do your feelings fall on that? Like trusting your intuition. I mean, do you use that as a tool? And I'm sure you do. I mean, you're an entrepreneur too. But like, what is that thing that like makes you, like you're talking to somebody, you're meeting somebody for the first time in a business setting, and you're like, I don't like this cat.
Yep.
Therefore, I will not trust you. Like, what is that? I mean. How do you tap in? Do you tap into that? I try to as much as I can.
I do as much as I can.
In every instance, when I don't listen to it, I get fucked up. Every goddamn time.
Having this conversation, Fat and I, we talk often. He's literally one of my closest friends, and he calls it. He'll
be fun to get on here.
Oh yeah, man. For really,
maybe 2 of you.
Yeah. He'll have this thing where he says, Shakis, you're being too tight. Listen up. Because he'll be like, when you're tight, you kind of close down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you loose, he was like, you understand, you engage, you're present, you have ideas. And that's kind of what I use when I'm
that's cool
in any situation, is whether that's music, sometimes it's a cigarette, sometimes it's a
whatever
bourbon, sometimes it's just me breathing. I practice breathing a lot. It's just being present in my body. That you do that. And then particularly if I'm ever going to be, just yesterday we had a Love, Peace, and Hip Hop. I had an event that I went to with Cedric and Moja, some great artists. They did a gallery at Koga Center, and I went there with my son. And before I went in, I just was present in my body, because I need that when I'm going around people, so I can make sure that that's kind of my way of accessing that, what you're talking about, that intuition, is I breathe and I'm present within myself so that I can receive without putting anything on it. You know what I mean?
100%.
When I say that?
Yeah.
Right. And so that I'm just able to receive, which allows me to go, oh, this person's full of shit. Like, they don't even realize it, but nothing you're saying is making any sense. But I'm not going, hey, but I'm learning about you just by what you're saying to me. Or
I'm keeping a list.
Or, you can also, if you're present enough in your body, you can also feel it in body language.
Yes.
You know, so whether or not someone's, I know it sounds mystical, and
I don't think it is though.
I don't think it is either, man. It sounds
I don't
mystical,
think
but
it
I don't
is.
think it's a
I don't think
mystical
it
thing.
is.
And you can go, this person's body language is something's not right there. I don't know what it is, and I'm not about to figure out what it is because that's not my job. But
I'm going over there.
but I'm going over there. How do you access that when you
Well, I
guess the question was, what is it? I don't even know.
I don't know what it is either. I think it's I think partly it is tapping into that thousands of years of programming and whatever. I mean, the cliche thought, I guess, would be like, here we are, a million years ago, we're living on the plains and like, oh shit, it's a saber-toothed tiger. That's what everybody goes to. Maybe it goes back that far, but some of I think some of it is learned over time, but
Like
having shit happen to you.
Your training learned, or like,
I think just being a kid too, I mean, and here's where I'm going to sound old, but we are Gen Xers.
yes,
We lived a certain way.
yes,
I don't know about you, but it was like come home from school and you didn't see your parents until it was dark, like
outside,
yeah, or whatever. I mean, we would just go forever. Like you just be neighborhood, bye. They're like, you asked better be home for dinner at dark. And that was the only rule.
The only rule.
There were implied rules, but
yes,
we didn't follow them. But I mean, and now like when I was raising my kids, it was like, y'all play in the backyard, not the front yard. Like what the hell? And it's just we're constantly worried about like what's going on with them. So I feel like we're kind of removing some of that we have from them, or the ability for them to develop some of that. I mean, because some of it's developed as it's like, how do you navigate the neighborhood as an 8-year-old? Not an 8-year-old, but like a 12-year-old,
8-year-old for me.
Well,
6-year-old.
I mean, but like roving bands of teenagers on bikes and just
that was my world.
Dog eat dog world, man. Like, but that's real. Yeah, that's really how it was. So I think some of it's learned, and it wasn't. I mean, there were real dangers in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I'm lucky I wasn't abducted or anything as a kid. I mean, some people were, but it's still out there, and there's the bully. Yeah. And somebody's big brother that like, don't get close to him. He can fuck you up, like whatever.
These are all learned. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Partly. And then, I mean, there are people that live in this world that, I mean, that's the reality as an adult. Like this is real shit they have to deal with, Yeah. So yes, I think it's like a bunch of things. And then it's in the business world, you make mistakes and you're like, that shit ain't gonna happen no more.
I think it's probably one of the things that's helped me grow as a business person more than anything is that finding that intuition, like being able to tap into that. Because one of the other things about idea people, myself, being an idea person and a dreamer, is I can get caught up in the dream.
Right.
And I'm certainly the type of person that would, and I'm a hard worker too. That's just that's a destructive combination because I will plow through walls and not pay any attention to anything around me. Yeah. And
when it's creative, it doesn't feel like work too.
It doesn't feel like work. So when I'm able to, for me, I breathe and I'm able to say, okay, what's really going on? Mm-hmm. Let me, I love the idea. I love the passion I'm feeling, but let me just sit that to the side just for a minute to say, okay, how does this make sense? And then, someone's presenting to me. I was just having a conversation once again the other day about, one of the things that I've been working on that I'm still figuring out that's going to be, I think it's something that a lot of people deal with is when you talk about detachment, when it comes to when you have an expectation for how business is going to go when you're dealing with someone, and then they throw you a curveball in the conversation, my emotions will take over first.
Yeah, mine do too.
And I'll go,
that's not what you said. Pissed off. Yeah.
What do you think about this? And then I find myself in these moments where I'm frozen because my mind is going, this is some bullshit. Like, that's not what he said. Real. That's not how this went down. This is like,
I don't even want to do that.
Yeah, what you trying to pull a fast one on me? Like, but then, learning how to go, wait, what's he actually saying?
Right.
Is what he's saying actually bad?
Right.
And then I also got to keep in mind, this is a person that's trying to protect whatever business or,
Right.
and as a business owner, he has a right to
Yep.
do that. So I can't really be mad that he's coming, because he probably thought about what we said,
Right.
figured out another avenue.
He's got his plans.
So he's got his plans. I got mine. All right, let me calm that down. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I 100%.
Like, that's something that I'm still, I struggle with that, but I'm trying to find that groove. But to me, that is parallel to what we're talking about
I think it is
intuition kind of thing.
I think it is. I know people that I can think of one person in particular that we work with where, okay, so the way I work in my day job, whatever, let's just say building a website, like whatever, pick something that maybe somebody can wrap their head around. I sort of practice it like I envision a doctor practices medicine. Okay. Right? It's like I have a series of things that I do. Sometimes I deploy them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do it a certain way, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
It always depends on what needs to get done.
Yeah.
And I roll with it, and then it's like art.
Okay.
But I know people that ain't how they work. They're I got a process of step 1 through 12. And if I get through to 4 and then we ain't going on 5, and it's like, I'm done. Like, it just throws the whole train off the track, And I know people like that too. And I'm not saying that's not the right way to work. My way definitely isn't always the right way to work, but like, I think a good mixture of the two, or I don't know. How do you work? Have you sort of a creative approach?
I'm very fluid. My work approach is very much like what you said at the outset. I'm like water. Every situation to me is new, because one of the things I realized where I realized my power as a business person, but also as a human, if I'm being transparent and frank, is in slowing down to listen, instead of, because I'll be an idea person, I'll spit. Instead, I go, you know what? Let me just hear. Let me make sure I'm understanding everything. I realize that I always my ideas perform better when I do that.
But as a creative, you also know that not every idea is good.
Right.
So you need multiple ideas to get the one good one out of
it. Right. And the other thing is I'm in addition to slowing down, I'm also I believe I don't know anything. So
I love that.
If someone is telling me something and I know, I'll go, no, I don't. Yeah. Let me hear it all.
Yeah, I'm willing to learn a new approach.
And then and that puts me in a position to say, well, we would normally do it like this, but what you got?
Yeah.
And so I try as much as I can to always be in a position of I don't know.
That's
which
cool.
Allows me to be more like water, and it has allowed me as a business owner to take advantage of more opportunities.
Solid, man.
Because my instinct often goes, that's stupid. Nope, we're not doing it.
Yeah. Well,
hey, Gene, can you do this thing? Nope. Sorry, dude. Yeah, what else you got?
That's dumb.
Instead of being like,
before you even finish the sentence. Nope.
Before you even finish the sentence,
I tried that 3 years ago.
I used to do that when I was younger. Like when I first started doing business. Oh man, I was, but I think we talked about this too. This is a good place to talk about this, particularly with you. That's one of the differences between a business owner and a manager.
Huh.
They're not the same.
Right. No.
They are completely different. And being a producer, coming from Genesis, being a manager, being over projects, being over campaigns, I knew how to manage.
Yeah.
I did not know how to lead, which is what ownership is.
Solid. That's very different.
Leadership. And as a manager, I'm saying no all the time. No.
Well,
what you got?
You're protecting the project, you're protecting the team.
Right. I
got that deadline, man.
But when I started taking that into the leadership world, and when I started owning the business, it was like, I didn't realize I was cutting down opportunities. I was turning people off
into a tyrant too.
With me. Yeah, you kind of turn into this tyrant. And I think one of the other things that's helped me is to be able to say, hold on, what you got?
That's solid.
Okay. Yep. Let me be more fluid so I can figure. And then next thing you know, there's some kind of way I'm doing some type of business with this person or entity that I would never have seen. And then, you have those moments where something beautiful happens 3 months, 6 months, a year later. And it's like, man, I would never have gotten here if I'd have said no to that stupid idea, because I still think the idea was stupid. But
It's not my idea though.
But it was,
right.
you know what I mean? But
Right.
as I've become more fluid,
I dig
I'm
it.
able to see the benefits to not just me, but to my business, to the
Yeah.
people that are working with me, to other people that I work with. I've been able to contribute something beautiful, because when the universe sends me things now, I'm not just chopping them down
Right.
because I can't see.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, hell, I don't know. What's going on?
You got to be in the receive mode.
Yeah, man.
Call that in the martial arts, we call that white belt forever mentality.
What does that mean?
So, when you start off, and that's everybody starts off at 0. You start off at white belt. You don't know anything.
Okay.
So, that's where you start learning. And you progress over, where 10 years, whatever, and you get your black belt.
Mm-hmm. I'm
going to get nerdy.
Give it to me.
Black belt, for most people, it's like the penultimate, right?
Yeah.
When you hear somebody has a black belt, you're like, oh, they're done. They're like the best. But you keep that white belt mentality. So even if you are at the end of there's no end to it ever, but like, I get that black belt, it doesn't mean I'm the best ever. In reality, it means, well, I've made it through the basic curriculum. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I've made it out of high school.
Right.
That's what it means.
I got it.
You got another 40 years to learn.
Yeah.
It's like a business. Well, I started my business. You're just getting going. It's the same thing. So we keep that white belt mentality. Like, I can always learn. There's always somebody that knows more than me. Like, I shouldn't come into the room and be like, all right, bitches, listen to me. That's not like, that's not going to work.
It's not going to. In the hip hop world, we refer to that as a hunger, right?
Hunger. Okay.
You'll hear a lot of 50 Cent, Jay-Z, depending on what rappers you listen to, you'll hear a lot of rappers say, I stay hungry. That's what we call it. I stay hungry.
That's cool.
I try to remember the hunger I had. Nas has this really great line. I don't know if it's true or not, but he has this really great line in one of his most recent King's Disease albums, where he talks about he has a Maybach with taxi, the pleather taxi driver put over that he has over the back seat of the car. I don't know if he meant that was true or not, but his point was, like, he said, just to remind me, just to inspire me, right? And it kind of goes with what you're saying, is so I'm always thinking white belt. Yeah. So I don't get so wrapped up in the fact that I'm a black belt that I forget to receive.
Yep.
You
got to.
Yeah.
That's also, we were talking when we were getting coffee, you were mentioning somebody's black belt and how they don't like to show it off because it looks brand new.
Right.
That is a thing that you'll look at somebody's black belt. You're like, that's pretty new out of the box. Where are you in your journey? If your black belt's all falling apart and tattered and basically turning white again, we're like, you've been wearing that for a long time.
That goes right back into something we talked about before when we were talking about entrepreneurs, particularly business owners. And like, you got to have receipts. You got to have some scars.
Yeah, I like the receipts thing.
You got to have some scars, man. It's hard for me to really take you seriously with that. That's a brand new black belt. It looks real. There's no wear on it. You gotta have some wear.
You gotta. Who you been teaching?
Yeah.
Nobody.
You haven't been working out.
I mean, it's a thing, It
is.
But in business too. Yeah. But like you're saying, though, you still have to be willing to, like, listen.
Yeah.
Even if this person is, like, arrogantly telling you how you should do everything.
Yeah.
They might be right.
Yeah. It's interesting.
If you're wise enough, they might be right.
I see a parallel there to, the media literacy work that I do, which I always love talking about when I come on to talk with you. That is one of the reasons why that type of education is so important, because it's helping you understand how to accept what's actually there.
Yeah.
Which is again, it goes back to, if we're talking about the print word, we would call that context clues.
Right.
And so helping people understand those context clues when you're on Facebook or social media or any type of device you're using to watch anything, is being able to understand, well, what exactly is going on here, as opposed to what I'm trying to make it to be.
Yeah.
I think is really important and really key. I saw that, so I just wanted to mention that.
100%. It's interesting. I have it in my browser right now. I just read it.
Give it to me.
It's on the New York Times. It's how to choose the fitfluencers to follow and the ones to avoid. So there's this whole article about fit inspiration, fit influencers in the fitness world or whatever, how, some of them, they're popular, but a lot of their advice is like not really
Bad.
solid. Yeah. It's just like not true, like, or whatever. It's like made up shit or whatever they do, or, the whole like, the Marvel heroes, like every time they do a show or they talk or whatever about, well, look at Chris Hemsworth. He's built out of muscle. Like he's huge. And he's like chicken and rice and working out. It's like, and not the juice. You're not talking about that part, which we surely did.
Or the fact that you have a team of trainers that get paid really well to make sure your health, nutrition, workout schedule.
It's just chicken and rice, bud. Yeah, I see that.
Sure.
But like talking about, being aware of where your information is coming from.
Articles like that always, if I'm being frank, it always makes my skin crawl a bit, because it's another one of those areas where I feel like we're not, when I say we media literacy educators and ambassadors and advocates, we're just not doing our job, because because you could write an article like that about anything.
You could,
right?
Yeah.
If that one's just fit influencers, it could be beauty influencers, it could be sound influencers, it could be camera influencers.
It caught my eye because of this,
right? Because
of the headline.
Because of the headline, and the algorithm knows you follow fit people.
That's
so
right.
It's sending you fit info. You're right. You're aware of how this goes, and I look at that headline like that and I go, oh man, it's just such a bottom up way to address a problem that should be top down, where now we're going from the bottom and saying, here are some things to look out to let you know that these people are not telling you the truth when it comes to fitness. But now you've just created a plan or a strategy in this one tiny thread of this massive world.
It's
that
so
you
much
need
deeper
the
than the
same
fitness
strategy.
world.
Right. Because I can guarantee you whatever advice they're going to give you in that article, you can apply to all of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is media literacy training, right? It's not deciphering how to understand fit lingo and language better, right? Which is probably what that article, I haven't even read it, but I know that's what they're talking about.
Pretty much.
They should be saying this instead of this. You watch out for this instead of this, which is basically just saying this person is not giving you the full context of what they're talking about. Here are some ways to point out context clues. Right. And so when I hear about articles like that, I go, oh man, this is another place where I just feel like media literacy educators or advocates or whatever, we're just not on the ball, because that's essentially what that article is saying. And
well, yeah, I mean, the author's probably more interested in throwing shade on certain people as opposed to educating. It's probably what they're doing.
Or
like, but read the New York Times fitness department.
Or
this is more important.
They're just taking advantage of the algorithm.
Or that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's trying to serve me.
People like Gene are fit.
Yeah.
How can I get the attention of people like Gene? Because you got to have
we got Google ads and you clicked on.
Right. You got to have a what do they call it? You got to have some type of avatar personality.
100%.
Gene fits that personality. So there's a ton of Genes that follow a lot of fit stuff. How can I get his attention on a New York Times article? Could be that. Not saying it is. Could be. You know what I mean?
And speaking of New York Times, you sent me an article, man, it was like a month ago, about the social media being liable.
Yes.
For what people post on the platforms. It made me think, we can talk about that part of it, but it made me think of like, what I post, like a fitness influencer. They're basically masquerading as a coach.
Yeah.
What if what they post hurts somebody? Like they're not liable for it, but like where should it begin and where should it end?
Dude, I got to see this commercial that Dove did where they sat parents down with their teenagers in front of a screen. Have you seen this?
It's the mothers and daughters thing. Yeah.
And they showed them beauty influencers, and then they looked at whether or not.
Yeah, they asked them how they felt and stuff like that.
If their mom was saying it instead of them saying it, and they completely changed because you're not you're not picking up on the context clues based on how this person looks, and they seem like they know what they're talking about, but you're not.
They're beautiful,
but it changes when there's someone because you're like, my mom would never say that. Why would she say that? She doesn't know that. I don't trust her. You know what I mean? And for sure, yeah, man, that it did a great job of being able to help.
That was a good one.
Understand that world. that article, which it's interesting you bring up that article because Twitter, Google, I think it was Twitter, Google, Facebook.
Named a big three.
But they won that case, which I was kind of disappointed about. But that just means that whoever was presenting the argument just didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, right. Or they paid enough money to senators to.
Yeah, because I really thought they were going to make some headway.
Facebook's got some good lobbyists.
Oh, come on now.
I mean,
you don't think Google got good lobbyists?
I mean, come on. They got all the money in the world. They're going to be putting some people up.
Have a team of lobbyists. You know how this goes. And what I sent you that article because I was like, man, it could be a game changer because what the attorney was trying to prove was people are harming themselves based on information they're getting off of these platforms, but the platform itself isn't liable.
Right.
And I was like,
but where does the liability, does it land on the person that said it?
Well,
even then it doesn't necessarily.
Well, see, here's where I thought the attorney that they had that was suing the social media companies had an angle. His angle was the algorithm.
Well,
right. Because when you're in a cafe or if you're at the fair and people are talking about Obama's born from dragons, right? You're that message isn't targeted to you.
Right. You're just overhearing it.
You're just overhearing it. Right. Which is why a cafe wouldn't be liable for whatever conversations people are having in the cafe.
Sure. Right.
The cafe is not liable.
Right.
Which is what the social media platform's argument has always been is the internet.
It's a town square.
It's a town square. Right.
See, I don't like that.
They can say it's fair. I believe that it's fair.
Okay.
However, what the attorney was arguing that maybe he just didn't make enough. The attorney that was against him was arguing that maybe he just didn't make a good enough case was the algorithm changed that because now instead of Gene being in the cafe with Sherrod talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene has dragon babies, that conversations like it are being targeted directly to Gene's kids.
Got you.
Right. Which is intentional. Whether you're talking about Twitter and the
designs of those algorithms are intentional,
right? And the argument by the social media companies was an internet-based argument where they were saying, well, say you're searching for a pizza places near me,
right?
We're gonna sort
the
information that you're asking us for based on what you asked us.
They're not responsible for the quality of the pizza.
I'm not responsible for the quality of the pizza.
Right.
So that was their argument. Was like, so you follow fit influencers. So we're just sending you fit influencers based on what you already, and that which is probably how they won because that
I'm sure
nuance is very subtle.
However, I kind of go both ways where it's like on one hand, it's like I should have the common sense enough to not believe everything I read.
Right.
But I should also not be constantly served up stuff that's bullshit.
Yes.
There should be some level of like, and this is totally untrue.
That's where I thought the Supreme Court would make a decision because they do not, Google, for instance, doesn't have the ability to say these pizza places are terrible. These pizza places are good. I mean, they do have the ability, but that wouldn't be that wouldn't be fair. However,
because good by what standard?
By what standard? However, there is a line when you're talking about something that's not true.
Yeah, right.
There's a line there. So to me, I liken it to traffic laws. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like
we don't make lefts here because you will die in traffic.
Right. Exactly. Right. So it's not about whether or not, like a seatbelt, like it's not about whether or not you believe in seatbelts or not. It's not about whether or not you think the seatbelt could be right for you or your child. It's about, whether or not you wear the seatbelt became a legal law because the data shows that wearing a seatbelt greatly reduces your risk of death when you're behind a vehicle if you get hit.
Yeah.
So it's not about every time you go in the car, you're preparing to get hit, which is a similar argument to what they're making. It doesn't matter. I can't control whether or not it's good or bad, but actually you can, because I can't control whether or not somebody's going to speed or hit me that day, right?
Right.
However, the fact that we have laws when it comes to speeding limits is because we're not relying on whether or not people are going to make that delineation based on the actual data.
Right.
And that to me is where I thought, I was like, that's why I sent to you. I was like, this could be a game changer if we're able to process it in the same way that we came up with laws. But I guess it didn't happen. But I don't think the processing necessary.
The process, and I don't mean computer processing power. I don't think the processing of that is fast enough.
It's not.
You know what I mean?
And it should be, I believe.
You can't keep up with the speed of the information.
And I believe the internet companies, particularly search-based, because all of it's search-based.
Yeah.
I believe search-based entities have a responsibility to be able to put a speed limit sign. I believe search-based entities have the responsibility to put seatbelt laws, to be able to say, this is okay, this over here is not.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has anything to do with infringing on freedom of speech, because you can't yell fire in a theater.
Right.
For the same reason you can't yell fire in a theater, you can't say you have a pizza place and you put 4 stars on it and you guys sell Tostinos, frozen Tostinos. That's not fair, right? Like there has to be a line that the search engine optimization companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, it doesn't matter what it is, I believe have a responsibility at this point in where we are in our relationship with the internet and society to say, all right, we have to start putting in some speeding limits and seatbelt laws. Yeah. We got to start putting in some rules around what can actually funnel through and what can't, because it's one thing to be a place that makes bad pizza. It's another thing to have a place that where you're just buying cheap pizzas from the store and reselling it as actual pizza place.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
It feels like we're so far away from getting to that point, though.
Well, if that lawsuit, if they would have won, we'd have been closer to getting to. So that makes me feel like we are closer to that point.
Okay.
It's just that the right argument I don't think has been made yet, and I think that it always comes back to capitalism, but the ability to make money. But it also comes back to the whole free speech thing. But free speech has limitations.
It does.
You say something wrong about Gene's kid in front of Gene, he might punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Free speech has limitations.
Yeah, that's right.
It just is what it is. That is a reality. And so the SEO based companies are basically presenting the argument that we can't control free speech.
Right.
Which is just not. Yeah. I don't know how much longer that argument is going to last. Yeah. Because it's the main way that humans have been, and this is the point that I think is important. Humans have been directed to communicate this way.
Right.
Society is directing you to communicate through a device.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything we do.
Anything that is not internet based or internet connected, everybody's trying to find a way to get you. I don't even care if you live in a remote island off the coast of Madagascar. They're trying to get you connected.
Yep.
So you're forcing people to say, this is how you need to be able to communicate with the world. Yep. It's through some type of device using some type of connected internet source. Yeah. All right. So then if you're going to direct everybody to this, through this funnel, through this channel, you gotta be responsible for what happens when people get there, because you're forcing them to do that as opposed to them choosing to do that on their own. It isn't a natural thing that's happening. We're forcing humans to communicate through devices, but then you have to be responsible for what happens when they get there. You can't just say everybody goes to the internet, but then when somebody shoots up a pizzeria in DC, go, I didn't have anything to do with that.
The internet.
That's the one you're rocking, hiding your hand.
Yeah,
you know
it kind of is. Yeah.
So I feel that we are getting closer, and hopefully, media literacy educators, and I think it's probably going to take 1 or 2 really gung-ho politicians to really just start making noise about that distinction.
Have you ever watched any of the hearings that they have with like Zuckerberg or the guy from TikTok? You ever seen our senators ask them questions?
We got the wrong.
That also makes me feel like we're so far away.
It's so bad.
It's
they don't know.
They're literally like, it's almost to the point where they're asking the CEO of TikTok, they're like, can you fix the email on my phone?
Right.
Like that's what it feels like. Like they have no idea.
No
And
idea.
they didn't even bother to be briefed before they went out. They were just
they
like,
probably did.
I know all about Facebook.
They
like,
probably
I don't think
did.
you do.
But here's the issue. The person that was briefing them, they probably didn't know either. Right. And this is part of the issue.
Just get your nephew or your niece. It's 14 and under to tell you everything about it.
You need somebody, because one of the things that I it's so interesting that you brought this up, because I was just having this conversation with somebody from I think it was the Department of Ed. One of the things that really frustrates me about media literacy and its ability to be launched on a wide scale when it comes to education is most of the people in education don't understand.
No.
They don't have any idea, because it's a training and a way of looking at receiving information and communicating that we just have not been taught. We've all been taught to use devices like we've been taught to use radios on on your car. You just turn it on, it works.
We figured
turn it up, turn it down.
We just figured it out ourselves.
We figured it out, right? Not understanding. I say this all the time. You probably heard me say it before. No one knows how to use their devices.
I don't.
No one does.
I don't.
Whenever you get a device, and anyone listening to this can test this theory, whenever you get a device, you walk into the place that you're getting the device from, they cut the device on for you.
Yeah.
You leave the store.
Pretty much.
You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
they're like, don't start any wars. Here you go.
All you know how to do is what you're able to do. Let me give you a perfect example. YouTube influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was asking me, how do YouTube influencers become so popular, particularly like kid ones? Like, how is it possible that all these kids are finding? I was like, open your device. What's the one platform you can use without any training?
That makes sense.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You don't even need to log in.
Right. Yeah.
It's the only device. It's
videos.
The only app on your phone.
Yeah.
You don't have to log in. You don't have to create an account. You don't have to do anything other than click it.
Yep.
And you're there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right, man.
Does a YouTube influencer have to create a model for you?
Not really.
No.
They know make you're something coming. You want to look at. Yeah.
They know you're coming.
Right.
Because and I can guarantee you, if you have a kid or if there's a parent listening to this, what your kid is usually using, if you're giving them a tablet or device, is YouTube. Yeah. Because it's the only thing on your device that they can control on their own. And people will go, oh, look how smart my kid is. They're able to skip between videos.
He's watching TV.
How difficult is it to him to swipe left?
Right.
What are we talking about?
It's not hard.
And so there's this.
Mr. Beast is first on every damn YouTube installed anywhere.
Because a 3-year-old can operate YouTube on a tablet does not mean they know anything about operating a device. And our adult human beings' ability to operate devices are at the level of 3-year-olds using a tablet and watching YouTube.
For sure.
We have no idea how these machines work. If one of them breaks, what do you do?
Buy a new one.
If it's acting up, what do you do? You don't know what to do. It's not like a car where you can go, all right, let me look under the hood. And even that, we don't know how to do anymore. Because our ability to be able to understand the devices that we're using is gone. Mm-hmm. We're in this world where we just are in this thing called devices. I have my watch, and I got my tablet, and I got my thing, but I don't know how none of it works. So the minute any of it goes awry, we're back at the store again buying another one.
Right.
And that has created this, again, society has forced everyone into this funnel.
Yeah.
And no one is honking the horn or throwing a red flag or pulling out a red card saying, wait. Mm-hmm. If we're all being forced into this funnel, what's going to happen when we get there? Who's going to control whether or not this is good or bad for all of us? And I think you're right to say there is a responsibility of all of the entities that are there in control of that space to be able to have some type of system of rules and regulations.
Well, how regulated is the printed word? You know what I mean? Like
extremely.
There's rules against that kind of stuff.
There's so many rules.
It's inspected so much more.
It's so inspected that certain publications can't even be displayed in certain areas. Like if you sell the National Enquirer, you can't be on a bookshelf. You have to be
in the
in
magazine,
a certain area
right.
of the story. Like, it's just not even allowed, right?
Right. So,
you know, and if you write an article, right, or you write a book, or you write I don't know, anything in the printed world, at the beginning, whether it is on the page before or at the top of that article or book or whatever, on the page before, you have to say who wrote it, when they wrote it, and have some type of information about who put this thing together. In the video world, you can ask people what they. I do this all the time whenever I'm teaching workshops. So, what do you watch on TV last night? They're like, oh, I watched Law and Order. All right, who made it? Right. Who wrote it? Who directed it?
Yeah.
No clue.
Right.
You watch? Oh, I watched the game last night. Okay, you know it has a producer and director that did the game. Who produced and directed the game?
No idea.
No clue. Right. It's completely different set of rules, and we've all been funneled into this world of let's all use the internet.
Yeah.
But no one has stopped to say, we need some rules and regulations here. And mainly it's because the internet is no different than the industrial age at the beginning of the 20th century.
We've talked about that with the printing press, and it's the same thing. I was going to ask you,
not even the printing press. When you look at, just look at what J.P. Morgan or Wells Fargo or Steele or Carnegie, these guys were the reason why Hershey's became Hershey's and Heinz became Heinz. There was no regulation. There was none.
Right.
If you wanted to build, Hershey built a whole town to make candy.
Mm-hmm.
There was no regulation saying they had to be. If you go back and look at those early ads, they were like Coca-Cola cures lung cancer and disease.
They're like, exercise by smoking exercises your lungs.
No regulation. And it
like Santa Claus smoking a cigarette.
And what did it do? It created a mass amount of multimillionaires. They created a ton of money. But all of those things had to be broken apart.
Yeah.
But that is no different than now.
Yeah,
Facebook,
it feels like
Amazon, Google, all of these multimillionaires in this space.
Feels like it
because there's no regulations coming in and saying, wait.
Yeah, and you got things like Amazon. And Apple too. They're making movies, and TV shows.
Yes,
they're
Apple has a whole.
They're making documentaries.
Ecosystem.
Yeah,
you can buy an Apple device. Excuse me. Shop.
Yeah,
with an Apple card. Watch Apple TV,
right?
Listen to Apple Music, have an Apple CarPlay in your car. Like you can literally be vertically integrated into all Apple.
Yeah.
No one is saying, well, wait,
should we?
wait a minute.
Right.
And then they're doing, they have applications now. Apple has home applications now, so you can have an Apple controlled home. Yeah. Their Apple controlled workspaces.
Yeah.
No one is saying this sounds a little bit like Carnegie and what was the name of his company? Steel Company. What's the one we always talk about? That it was the first conglomerate to get broken apart. It was something Steel, U.S. Steel, something Steel, whatever
something
Carnegie's company was.
Yeah.
The same, and so it's a conglomerate. It's the type of entity that shouldn't be allowed. Like you can't control that many facets of a human being's life with a company. Not only is it not ethical, but it's not even fair to the system of doing business.
Man. and you say
that conversation took a turn.
And you say we're closer.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're closer, Gene.
Well, the more bad shit that happens, I think.
I hope not, man. I really, really hope not. I really, really hope not.
Yeah.
I really hope not, Gene. I don't know how to say that any stronger than that, but I really, really, really hope not that doesn't turn into a movie, because it certainly feels like it.
It sure does, man.
Particularly with what everybody's talking about right now with ChatGPT and all of the new AI technology. But we've been using AI. Siri is AI. Alexa is AI. When you say pizza near me, that's AI. And so we've been using it. It's just the newest form of it. And I hope that we don't get to a place where we're like Minority Report or something like that happens before we go, or like iRobot, when we have to go, wait.
Yeah, this dude looks like he might commit a crime. Let's go ahead and arrest him. What the hell?
That would suck if it gets to the point where it all turns on us, and then we go, damn. We should have did something before I'm in the Apple car. I don't touch.
Yeah.
I'm on an Apple
Yeah.
device. So it gives me my music. I can pay for things.
Well, there's
You know what I mean? And
there's
then,
people I
then it
can't
all turns on you. It's too late then.
I can't quote any of the names. I know Musk is one who's, you know, calling to slow down the development of commercial AI. You know, I forget the other guy's name that just stepped down from Google.
Yeah.
Because of that same thing. They're saying slow it down. We're, you know, we're going so fast that we're sort of irresponsibly growing this.
Oh, it was
commercial AI
irresponsible
thing.
20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're
It's
past that.
beyond irresponsible. It was irresponsible 20.
I think so.
The minute we could create a new currency,
Yeah,
that's when we
Right.
had reached the point.
right.
Because we literally used this
Yeah.
same technology
Yeah,
to
yeah.
create a whole new form of money.
Yeah,
All right, wait a minute.
yeah.
That's when it broke the possibility.
Yeah.
Because now, think about it. That means artificial intelligence can start its own society.
Feels like it.
It has money now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it can literally build its
Right.
own society.
Right.
Because all of the things you need to build a society, the only piece that it was missing was its ability to produce some type of currency. And now we have AI currency.
Crazy.
Because Bitcoin isn't a real, it's digital.
It's crazy.
And so, you know,
I don't trust Bitcoin 1 cent.
Not even. Not even. I mean, the idea of it is just is crazy. But you know, I'm confident and hopeful that we don't get to the point where we're living in a movie where we can't fly or we can't drive because you know we've given the power of we've given the internet too much power.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's funny, man, because I've been thinking a lot about like, do I need to spend more time in the regulation space? You know, because I keep saying I hope someone else should, that person should, and I've been thinking lately, like, do I need to be?
Who else is gonna do it?
You know, in that world, because it's critical to the future of humanity at this point. And I guess I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Are you scared?
I am scared. Yeah, you're right. That conversation took a turn, but
it did.
You always teach me all that stuff. I never think of things quite the way you always kind of lay it out. So
man,
I appreciate it, man.
You always teach me, and you provide just a great atmosphere, and because of your demeanor and who you are, you know, it's an easy place to talk and to talk real. We get away from the fluff and get right down to stuff that I think matters. So
that's the goal. Thanks for coming.
That in the background is evidence to your ability to do that.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man.